Man, these guys are militants. These not no goddamn Cub Scouts. You can't come in here where a fucking pack of lions is and throw some meat in the middle of the floor and expect them not to not to respond to that or for them to attack. So again, I wish the incident never happened, but everybody played a role in that, man. So
if I asked you to get a piece of paper and something to write with, and to make a numerical list of all the things that you would be willing to die for, how long is your list?
The Panther 48.
Willing to die for.
The Panther 48.
Willing to die for. How long is your list?
What is the tribal self?
The Panther 48.
The tribal self is what goes above the immediate acquaintances of the social.
Willing to die for.
The family, the people you know, live next door.
You would be willing to die for.
The Panther 48.
I'm talking about those newbies, those yet unborn, and those who are the ancestors.
How long is your list?
So the connection with the ancestors is tied into the tribal self.
The Panther 48.
What does that mean? That means that the tribal self constantly reminds us
Willing to die for.
that we don't have the right
How long is your
to
list?
claim independence.
The Panther 48.
Peace and power. Once again, this is your Panther 48. Sitting with me on the panel is the other members of the Panther 48. I have my brother Robert Ward Williams, who is now the chairman of the San Diego chapter of the Black Panther Party. He is the national chief of staff of the People's Black Panther Party, headquartered out of Atlanta, and he's once former chairman of the Dallas chapter of the new Black Panther Party, the original chapter of the new Black Panther Party. Peace and power, brother Ward.
All power to the people, all power to those that deserve it.
No doubt. We got brother E, another member of the Panther 48, sitting with us, calling out of Florida. Brother E is a former Minister of Information of the original and founding chapter of the new Black Panther Party, and he's our Minister of Information Emeritus of the Panther 48. Peace and power, brother E.
Greetings, everybody.
And we have myself, Brother Syke, who is a former Chief of Staff of the original and founding chapter of the new Black Panther Party and the Chief of Staff Emeritus of the Panther 48. Peace and power. Now, today we have a special guest with us. The special guest that we have with us today is the current National Chairman of the new Black Panther Party, Brother Babu X Omowale. Peace and power, Brother Babu.
peace and power, comrades. Good to be here.
Now, Brother Babu, I'm gonna let the brother introduce himself a little bit, and I'm gonna do it kind of in a question answer format to give those who don't know a little background information on the brother. Now, from what I understand, brother, you was born in Houston, Texas, and probably around 12 years old, you moved to Dallas, Texas.
Yeah, that is correct. Well, I actually moved to Fort Worth first. We stayed here about 2 years, so that was such a short term. So I went from Houston to Fort Worth, and then I eventually landed in Dallas, Texas, man. Oak Cliff, Sherwood Gardens, right across the street from Crest State, man. I was in the thick of things.
True indeed. And straight out of high school, you went to the military, correct?
Yeah, straight out of high school, man. I didn't know which direction that I needed to go in. I knew I was tired of being in school, and I didn't want to be a burden on my family. So the only logical choice for me at that time was the military.
And in the military, would you say you learned discipline, or what was it that you gained from the military, from your experience in the military?
To be honest with you, I was actually a terrible to mediocre soldier at best. I hated getting up every morning and running 2-3 miles before breakfast. You know, I hated the fact that I lived in the barracks and the sergeants would come in early, 5 o'clock in the morning, and beat on our doors and wake us up. So I wasn't that good of a soldier, but I loved the training. You know, maybe I should say I didn't like the going to work aspect of the military. But when we went out in the field and did the gun training and the survival training, I was probably one of the best disciplined soldiers because I really wanted to learn that.
All right. And
Oh,
go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, that was it. That was it.
Okay. All right. And so out of the military, so what made you make the transition from American military to Black Panther Party? How did that happen?
I have to be honest with you. Something in me, I just never liked white people. And I don't want to get on here and start out sounding racist, but growing up in the environment that I grew up in, which was Oak Cliff, and, going to South Oak Cliff, and then I transferred to Spruce and graduated from Spruce. Well, Spruce was half Black and half white. And there was always a conflict at that high school. During the time that I was there, there were race riots, and there was always something going on in that perspective. So I always had a militant or Black first type attitude, but I didn't know what it was. I didn't know what it was that was feeding my soul. So after I left the military, I started to see a lot of the atrocities that were being committed against our people. And I wanted to get in there and be a process of the fight. I wanted to be part of the fight. So that's kind of what led me in the direction of the new Black Panther Party, looking for some type of change.
I got a little bit more of a question on that note. Because Brother Syke asked in regards to the transition, how soon out of the military was it before you actually sought out or ran across the Black Panther Party? Was there a transition period or what?
Yeah. For me, it was a long transition period. I got out the military at about the age of 22, and I didn't join the new Black Panther Party until I was 36. So that was 14 years of just me living my life and trying to find out who it was that I was going to be. And what brought me to the new Black Panther Party altogether was seeing you guys in Jasper, Texas in 1998, I believe it was, when you guys responded to the dragging death of James Byrd. That was my first time meeting the new Black Panthers. I came up on Malcolm X, where you guys were right there next to Erykah Badu's place, and you guys were having a meeting in there, and I got a chance to see you, Brother War, and also Brother Aaron Michaels, and you guys were kind of in there dialoguing. And the thing that I overheard on accident while you was playing with your AK, the Mac 90, I believe that was a Mac 90, while you was messing with that was you said the first words before anybody ever knew what was happening about Dr. Khalid becoming part of the new Black Panther Party. And just to finish, it took me another 5 years. That was 1998. It took me another 5 years to join the party, man, because I just had so much on me trying to raise my family and be a productive Black male in my household. But it was in 2003, the death of Alan Simpson, that actually brought me to the organization.
Got it.
All right. So 2003, you joined the organization. When did you leave? Because at some point, and I'm gonna get into it because we know the storyline, but I'm trying to make sure we walk through it for the listening audience. At some point, you left the organization and ended up co-founding the Huey Newton Gun Club. Am I correct?
That is correct. That would be. I left the party in. Well, let me just back up for a second. How I met the new Black Panther Party members again after the 5-year period. Sister Carla came into the barbershop where I was working. That was the sister that Brother Ali was dating. She came into the barbershop and she was passing out buttons. And I said, "How much for a button, sister?" She said, $5. I said, "I ain't getting $5 for no button." So what happened is she wound up just, I was cheap, man. It was, hey, man, $5.
I'm surprised they were selling buttons for, when I left, it was $1. What happened?
No,
I don't know.
Somebody pocketing some money. I'm leaving it.
Yeah.
That's
Sister Carla was trying to hit me for the $5. And I said, "Sister, I ain't getting $5 for a button, but make a long story short, she wound up giving me the button, and I asked her where the Panthers met at, and she told me about the headquarters on Peabody and Malcolm X. Oh, so I joined the party in 2003, and I took an exit from the party in 2014. I'm sorry, that was 2013. And I left because two reasons. I didn't like the direction the party was going in, as far as we never had any active programs. I felt like at that time the party was all just rhetorical or rhetoric. You know, we would show up at an event, we would hit the microphone, hit the megaphone, get everybody fired up, and then we would just leave. We didn't leave the people with any tangible results. So I got frustrated with that being the norm. And I also got frustrated with, we never worked on any defensive mechanism within the party, you know. And I was a big part. Defense was one of my favorite things that drew me to the party. I believe Brother War, remember when we used to go out to Crandall, Texas, and we used to do exercises and drills. I believe it was Crandall or Crawford. That inspired me. And after Brother War left and Brother Ali left, and people started separating, we really didn't have any of that defensive presence. So I felt like the new Black Panther Party was not putting enough perspective on defense. So that's what led me to go to co-found the Huey Newton Gun Club.
Now we've had you on here before, so I'm not going to go into deep dialogue about the Huey Newton Gun Club, but I do have to ask a few questions about it. And for those who want that deeper dialogue, they should watch our other video. The first time we had Brother Babu on and interviewed the brother on the Huey Newton Gun Club. But okay, you left the party because you felt that the party had strayed away from its defensive stature. And you felt that that defensive stature was needed and necessary in the community. So what made it become the Huey P. Newton Gun Club? What made you take that road with it? And do you think, or do you feel that you've accomplished your goal and creating the Huey P. Newton Gun Club?
Well, I haven't accomplished my goal. Our goal is overall freedom. And no, that has not been accomplished for the people. Again, I felt like that we needed a defensive presence in America, especially modern day America, where you have all of these vocal neo-Nazi, white supremacist, white nationalist groups. And I just felt like it was imperative that Black people start training for self-defense, because these groups can come in our communities at any time and just run through everything that we got. We can't even put up a defense to that. So that was kind of my guiding factor, was to get with guys that thought the same and to build up us a defensive structure so we could combat some of these white supremacists if they decided to come to our community. We decided to name it the Huey P. Newton Gun Club specifically because Huey P. was known as the minister of defense. And specifically point number 7 on the 10-point program, we want an end to police brutality and police terrorism in our communities. That fit everything that we wanted to incorporate into the organization. I don't know if a lot of people remember, but when we first started out with the gun club, we would patrol our communities the same as the original Panther Party. And sometimes that would lead us into direct situations with the police department. Of course, we did it by the laws that were set forth by the state. We stayed 10 feet away and we just observed, you know. So that was the reason that we used the name Huey P. Newton Gun Club, specifically point number 7 on the 10-point platform program. And I'm sure Dr. Huey had a lot to do with that being on the 10-point program, saying that he was a defense guy.
All right. Now the big question that I'm sure a lot of brothers and sisters would want to know: why come back to the new Black Panther Party? Because it seems like y'all have had some success in the growing and development of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and from what I understand, not only that, but it inspired other gun clubs that's in the same vein. So it seemed like y'all had some success. Why come back to the new Black Panther Party and seek the national chair?
I think we inspired a lot of gun clubs. Before the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, you didn't hear a lot of Black organizations calling themselves gun clubs. So, and now you just have, they're all over the country. And that's a beautiful thing. I came back to the new Black Panther Party because I felt like the level of respect had fell off for the organization. I felt like the organization was going into a downward spiral. And this was something that I was a part of for 10 years before it started heading in that direction. And it just really bothered my soul that such a great organization founded by Aaron Michaels and the Dallas chapter and how it has spread so fast, and now it had got to the point where the organization was really just getting ready to implode. You had a lot of social media chatter, and you had a lot of people dishing and disrupting the organization. So I just came to a conclusion, you know what, I think that I can help bring the organization back to some type of relevance, just by doing good and righteous work.
So what is your vision for the new Black Panther Party now that you have got that position and you essentially have the steering wheel of the organization? What is your vision?
My vision for the organization is it's not complex, but we want to try to bring back some of the programs of the original party where it can actually benefit our communities. We don't want to just be a rhetorical organization all the time, and we've gotten, believe it or not, we've gotten some heat for that. I've only been the chairman of the organization a little over 90 days, but we've implemented a adopt a family food program. So you have other activists who probably said some of the same things about the original party, or you guys are nothing but reformists. You guys don't want true freedom. You just want reform. So we've actually gotten some slack just behind feeding our people. Another program that we're in the process of implementing right now is a literature program to combat literacy in our community. So we're working with teachers within our community to help us come up with a social media literacy programs, because if you can't read, then you don't have a basic understanding of life and what's going on around you. You have to get somebody else to interpret what's going on. So we want to combat literacy within our communities. So the biggest thing as a vision is we want to bring back some of the programs of the original party, but we don't want to get stuck at just programs. We also want to make sure that we have a good defensive structure in place as well. So we want to bring back some of the programs, and we also want to bring back some of the militancy to the party, because it is definitely needed in this day and time.
Well, I got a question. Did you bring the Huey P. Newton Gun Club into the party, or did you just completely step back so that you can focus on running up the new Black Panther Party?
Right. The members of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, I didn't want to. New Black Panther Party and the Huey P. Newton Gun Club already had a cross membership.
Okay.
So, I didn't want to make the Huey P. Newton Gun Club a direct part of the new Black Panther Party, because it has its own entity and it has its own national leadership. So I wanted to let that be separate, so that way the Huey P. Newton Gun Club is not, he's just bringing us into the Panther Party and now he's got us, now we're going to school board meetings, now we're going to council meetings, and that's not the original structure of the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, but it is the structure of the new Black Panther Party. So with the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, we strictly want to stick to the defensive and the survival platforms. But with the new Black Panther Party, there's a lot more platforms that we have to deal with.
True indeed.
Let me jump real quick.
Go ahead, Brother Walt.
I'm gonna take you a step back on on one of them questions that Psych asked in regards to what brought you back. I refer to that element as what I call the bullshit threshold.
Okay.
What specifically in regards to what was going on, because we all got a different bullshit threshold. I reached mine with the NBPP back in 2006. Are there any specifics? Because the organization as a whole, because of the way things have been running, and being more concerned with members, with getting members as opposed to quantity over quality, has been declining. What specifically are there some specific things that reached your bullshit threshold that made you say, "Nah, something got to give"? Are there some specific things that caught your attention?
Well, I can't say that it was definitely one specific thing. I think at the time, Chairman Malik, by being in the party for so long and being responsible for the organization so long, I think he was just getting tired, and I think he was, getting burnt out. And so this is what allowed some of the bullshit to happen, especially on social media. We were getting dogged out. I say we, I wasn't with the party at the time, but the party was just getting drugged on social media. And I just felt like if Brother Malik is getting burnt out, and if he winds up leaving, who's going to take control of the party? Are there any qualified individuals out there who can come in and change the direction of the organization? And after I examined everybody, I was like, shit, I don't know nobody I would turn the organization over to. I said, so I just said, why don't I give it a shot? And all I did was throw my name in a hat. I didn't contact nobody and say I want to be the chairman. It was obvious that Malik was going to step down, so all I did was just say, hey, put my name in the hat. If you guys want to go in a new direction, if you guys want to go back to being disciplined, if you guys want to go back to the platform of the original party, some of it, because we are the new Black Panther Party for a reason. If you guys want to, go back to some of the original platform, then, I'm gonna throw my name in the hat and see if I can come in and reorganize the party.
Now, let me ask this, because I know War got a few questions. I'm not gonna take up all the time. War, I'm gonna let you have it. When you came back in, did you have any resistance to your leadership when you first came back into the party?
Well, when people serve up under a certain leader or a certain type of leadership, they become what you call enabled, and they're able to get away with things that, under a disciplined organization, you wouldn't be able to do. So when I came into the organization, man, there was probably a little pushback, but it was not in my face type of pushback. It was like, we cool with you as long as you don't try to do this, or we cool with you as long as you don't try to make too many changes. So it was some subliminal resistance. A couple members didn't like the way that I was trying to reorganize the party. They were used to things being the way that they were. So I've been called, man, a warlord, a dictator, and I don't fit any of those. I don't fit in any of those categories, man. That's just not me. I'm the type of person where I go to my central committee and I ask them a question. They debate on it, they deliberate on it, and whatever answer we come up with at the end of the day, the national committee made that decision as a collective. Now, if I think they made the wrong decision, I'll go and tell them the reasons why, but I won't overturn the decision of the national committee. But yes, there was some slight resistance, minimal resistance, but nothing that I would call, nothing that I would say was harmful to me coming in the party.
Go ahead, Brother War.
Well, let me get that a definition for y'all real quick. That's called a concrete panther. This is a person who has cemented themselves in a structure to the point to where they are no longer held to a standard due to the amount of time or the people that they acquired or know since they've been in the organization. So for the listening audience, that's what that's referred to when we talk about somebody who basically, and other people may call it grandfather, being grandfather. So when you have a panther or a person that's been in this seat prior to the person that's coming aboard, even above them in terms of the leadership position, they figured, again, as a concrete panther, you can't touch me because I was here before you. You can't touch me because I've done so much more, quote unquote, than you. Not necessarily saying I've been more effective than you, but I've been here for so long. So I just wanted to get out a name.
Yes, sir.
Next thing I wanted to say in regards to that, what I wanted to ask you about the Huey P. Newton Gun Club. We said that it inspired a lot of other gun clubs, but I've had discussions and even debates with some of the other gun clubs behind the fact that, to me, some of the work that's being done or some of the moves that's being made don't necessarily sound like something I would refer to as a gun club. When I think gun club, I think a bunch of people that basically like firearms and want to come together and basically train under firearms because they like weapons, they like self-defense, so they want to train with firearms, and we coming together as a quote-unquote black gun club under that banner. Being that you established the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, can you kind of elaborate on my misunderstanding of a gun club? Because when I think club, I don't think accountability. I think, hey, I come here, I can shoot, we can shoot at targets. I ain't got to be responsible in the community or not. I ain't got to necessarily do anything other than pay my membership dues to be a part of this gun club, train if I want to, or don't have to train, but it's a gun club. So elaborate a little bit on that for me.
Right. It's basically all about wording. We have to understand where we live. We have to understand the gun laws around the country. But when you use the word gun club, I can understand that people think, okay, we go to the range, and then we go drink a couple of beers and we talk about our firearms all day. You know, that's probably a lot of people's perception of gun club. But us, you know, we wear the RBG colors. You know, we're named after Dr. Huey P. Newton. So that puts the militant perspective on the gun club. That changes it from being just a regular gun club, and it puts the more militant perspective on it. So, you know, imagine if we would have been the Huey P. Newton militia. You know, we probably would have had a lot more feds knocking at our door a lot sooner using the terminology of militia than gun club. So it's really just all about terminology. But I mean, as you can see again, man, we're the Huey P. Newton Gun Club, and you know, just the name itself caused a lot of a stir in the gun community because we chose that name. You know, we have a lot of white people that have come at us, and you know, just to be honest and have an open dialogue, you know, you chose the name of a murderer. Huey P. Newton Gun Club killed the police, and you know, such shit. You know, but so we've caught some slack, and we've had other people who say, well, you can't be Huey P. Newton because Huey P. Newton was a Maoist, or he was a communist, or a Marxist, and you guys are black nationalists. You know, so I think it's a lot deeper than people think. So that name holds a lot of respectability. The red, black, and green flag that we wear, our colors of choice, that lets you know who we are. We're not just a beer drinking gun club that just go to Applebee's after we leave the range.
Got it. That's all I got for this 1 minute.
Well, I hope that was I hope I was able to answer your question, man, because had we chose militia, I think we would have faced a lot more adversarial conditions. And again, it's just about the wording. And
Yeah.
I think that helped.
I think the language made sense, actually. Like you
Mhm.
just said, if you'd have chose the name militia, it's certain things in this society that our minds have been programmed to see in a certain way. You know, you could be operating the same program under gun club that would
Mhm.
draw a whole lot more scrutiny if you was operating the same program under militia or under the Huey Newton guerrilla army or whatever. You know, it
Right.
sounds quote unquote less threatening. But you alluded to something earlier about how the new Black Panther Party was being drugged in the on the internet, about how it was being basically dogged out. And one person in particular comes to mind, even though I know that this has been constant and consistent abuse on the name. You know, I was gone from the organization for 17 years, as E like to call it, being on vacation. And when I came back in 2018,
That's a long vacation, bro.
yeah, yeah.
Right
And when I
on.
came back in 2018, and you know, we had in my home we had a Panther reunion basically. Aaron Michaels, Brother War, Brother E, a lot of brothers that came together, and in that night, in that day, because we was, I think me, E, and War specifically was hanging out till like 2-3 in the morning. Or I think y'all probably showed up at 2-3 in the morning before we started the event the next day, one of the two. But they was bringing me up to speed about everything that was going on. I didn't know about the gun clubs, about the different variations of the Panther Party, New Black Panther, People's Black Panther. I didn't know about all these things that took place. But anyway, to get to the point, one guy in particular, I can't remember his name, but I know he has a YouTube channel called Moorish World TV. Well, one of his number one things is I've seen him go extremely hard on the new Black Panther Party and certain members, and he even went to the point of even calling the members of the organization con artists and things of this nature. And I bring all that up to ask you this: is that something that you had to weed out of the organization? Is that something that you've seen since you've been back, or is the brother just trolling and looking for likes? Or, you know, in your opinion, what is going on with the brother and the accusation that he's made against the organization? And have you been working at cleaning a lot of that element out, if it's actually there?
Yeah. The brother that you speak of, I won't even mention his name because he and I have fell out on multiple occasions. But I think he just had a fetish with Brother Malik. And I think his attack on the new Black Panther Party came from a direct result of his relationship and his disdain for Emeritus Chairman Malik Zulu Shabazz. So I think the new Black Panther Party kind of got drawn into that. Now, what added fuel to the fire, as you clean out your organization and you suspend members and you're trying to straighten the organization up, as Malik was trying to do, a lot of those members would go on the Taharka Bay show and add fuel. I said his name. Well, I tried not to. A lot of members would go on his show, man, and they would really add fuel to the fire. You know, they would mix a little truth with a lie, and you know, it just added extra criticism to the organization. So what I've tried to do as the chairman, we've set forth a policy as far as social media goes, where we're monitoring that. We have comrades monitoring social media. And if you say anything up under the new Black Panther Party name that's negative or that's counter-revolutionary or against the people, you're probably going to get a call from our Justice Department. So we monitor those things, and we have had to remove members from the organization because they didn't have the discipline to be part of the organization. And like Brother War alluded to, we're looking for quality. We don't want a 1,000 members that are trash. You know, we'll take that 100, we'll take that 150, 200 people that are going to actually go out and do the work. So to reiterate and answer your question again, I think it just came from the brother's disdain with our last chairman, Brother Malik Zulu Shabazz, was that his attack on the party. And part two of that was disgruntled members going on social media and trying to bash the organization as well. Because, when you put somebody out of the organization, man, they're going to be in their feelings, man. And we're in this new social media area where everybody has a platform once they go live, so a lot of that's been happening.
Right. Don't feel bad about saying names or anything, brother. Me and Brother E, we all for earn it out. As long as it ain't no black bashing, that's warded always being politically correct. Me and E, we're more politically incorrect. We're truly revolutionaries. But E, did you have anything that you want to bring to the brother's attention, or question that you wanted to ask the brother? Before I continue, go ahead.
So, Atlanta.
So, brother, you're familiar with the incident, correct?
I definitely am. Yes.
Okay. What are your feelings or opinions about war? Can you give just a real brief synopsis so the audience knows what it is we're referring to?
Basically, Dhoruba Bin Wahad being in Atlanta, being a part of organizations there that like the Organization of Functional Unity.
And who is Dhoruba?
Dhoruba Bin Wahad is one of the Panther 21. Most people know him from Panther 21, to where he basically the New York case of 21 Panthers that got falsely accused. Dhoruba Bin Wahad was one of the ones that got sentenced and ended up doing 19 years in prison as what we call the third development, or one of the original Panthers. Afeni Shakur was one of the Panther 21. So for those that don't know that, the whole point is Dhoruba is not just an elder, but a hard-hitting elder. Also somebody that was involved in some of the founding principles of the Black Liberation Army. So Dhoruba is not just any elder. He's a prominent, powerful elder that basically everybody that calls themselves a Panther should be at the seat of what he got to say and hear what he got to say, period.
And so what happened with him?
He, the new Black Panther Party, I would say nationally, had a summit in Atlanta. Dhoruba at the time lived in Atlanta. A few organizations in Atlanta was dealing with the integrity, and I want us to go into that a little bit later, but it was dealing with the integrity of what the new Black Panther Party stood for, and therefore did not want the new Black Panther Party in Atlanta, and tried to have multiple sit-downs with Malik leading up to that point that never took place. And so therefore, once Malik show up, without ever trying to sit down with the elders and address the elders in regards to some of the mess that was going on, specifically within the organization, even in Atlanta, first and foremost, he decided to show up at the summit and confront the organization and confront Malik, simply because at that time they had been dodging his situation on, hey, what's up with the new Black Panther Party? Why is it going astray from what it did when Aaron Michaels founded it? And mind you, Dhoruba was one of the elders that assisted Aaron in founding the new Black Panther Party. So he considered himself to be partially accountable for the fact that the organization had not become what it should, had kind of went astray in terms of its founding principles. So he went to confront them, and in his own city, mind you, and basically got beat up. Got not just got removed from the meeting, but got literally beat up. Got put in had stitches. Had a neck restraint because his neck got damaged and toe up. And we talking about somebody that's in their 70s at the time.
And so these were members, rank and file members of the party that did that, of the new Black Panther Party that jumped on him.
Correct.
Okay. And the directive to do so was given by whom?
Malik Zulu Shabazz.
Okay, so then I guess my question to you, brother, is which side of that issue do you stand on? This elder who's essentially Purple Heart material. If we had such things within the movement, this cat would be right on the top of that list. being physically manhandled by members of the party, but not only physically manhandled, doing it on the orders of the top ranking official within the new Black Panther Party at the time.
Right. I got multiple answers to this question, so I'm gonna try to be as direct and I'm gonna try to keep it as brief as I can. First and foremost, let me say, as a Panther, not new Black Panther, not new generation Black Panther, as a Panther, and coming up under the ideology and principles of the Panther Party, we have nothing but the utmost respect for Elder Dhoruba and the work that he has put in, trying to liberate an unconscious people. The sacrifices he has made, being in prison, there is nothing but respect for that elder. And I'm glad that you guys brought that question up, because about a week ago, I spoke with Brother Malik, and I told him that I wanted to give a formal apology from the new Black Panther Party to Brother Dhoruba and the other brothers that was affected by this incident. It should have never happened. So much respect to Brother Dhoruba. We want him to know that he is loved, and his work is followed, and we're still putting out the work, following his lead. Part two to that, I personally have never been a person that I feel like if I have to come to your city, that I have to check in with you. First and foremost, I am a free man, and my comrades are free to come and go at will. How do you claim a city when we don't own shit in that city? We can't be making claims to something that we actually, are we claiming territories? Are we gangbanging now? You know, you can't come on this set without checking in with me. That's one of the issues that I have. Point three is, as much as I respect Brother Dhoruba, he played a role in that himself. You cannot go to another man's house, walk in his house while he's having a party, and disrupt that man's house. So with the incident that took place, Dhoruba was hollering at Malik from about 20 yards away. And Malik said, "We will talk after the function." Dhoruba's words, right here, this is what set this shit off. "No, we gonna talk now, motherfucker." That's what set everything in motion. So people want to be mad at Malik. Malik said, "Get him out of here." The brother that took charge was Brother DK from Dallas, Texas, trained by Brother War, trained by Aaron Michaels. He took charge of his post to get what he considered to be a threat at the time, because Brother Dhoruba didn't come in there by himself. He came in with 2 or 3 other people, and that could be seen as a threat when you come into another man's house with your clique. So that's just my explanation of it. I wish it didn't happen, but as a Panther, just like Dhoruba wants his respect, man, these guys are Panthers, man. These guys are militants. These not no goddamn Cub Scouts. You can't come in here where a fucking pack of lions is and throw some meat in the middle of the floor and expect them not to respond to that or for them to attack. So again, I wish the incident never happened, but everybody played a role in that, man. So I mean, that's where I'm at.
All right, let me say something first. And I had to give a little bit of background about my involvement in Atlanta. When I ended up moving to Atlanta, I was still with the new Black Panther Party at this time. I want to say, and I might mess up the date, but I want to say this was like probably 2007 or 2008. I moved to Atlanta. The new Black Panther Party already had a chapter down in Atlanta. Mind you, I was a Southern regional representative when I was in the South, ended up moving to Atlanta. But when I moved to Atlanta, the state of the new Black Panther Party at the time was did not lead with integrity. You had members of the new Black Panther Party that had been basically hitting the street corners, claiming that they're collecting money and resources from the community in order to enact programs for the community to where we're going to serve the people. This kind of goes back to one of the things you talked about, which is why I refer to that as the bullshit threshold. So in other words, the people were alluded to and thought that the new Black Panther Party were going to be having like food programs and clothing programs, some type of program to where the money that's being received is being given back to the community through the resources that the new Black Panther Party acquire or basically get from this money. But in essence, what was happening is you had members of the new Black Panther Party that were using this money that they were collecting on the streets to pay their bills. Simple as that. Pay their bills. When I got to that city, I did encounter something that I thought was uniquely different, but at the same time very powerful. What it was a community elder council. And I say this because this is something that I did try to bring into the formation of the new Black Panther Party, is an elder council. The reason for that is because an elder council would see to it that the integrity, I'm gonna use that word, the integrity of the Panther operations would remain intact and adhered to. Part of that integrity has to do with the same thing that was brought to my attention. Now, what you had back at that point in time, and I'm gonna throw this out there. Most of y'all refer to him as H. Rap Brown, but Jamil Al-Amin was a part of a movement in Atlanta to where in a particular sector called the West End, they were doing the programs and doing the work of what the Black Panther Party, the Third Development Panther Party did. Mind you, he didn't operate and consider himself and operate under the banner of Black Panther Party, but all of the work that was being done in that community was Black Panther, which is why he ultimately stayed on the FBI's radar, which is why they framed him. And we all know the story about why he's in jail right now. You know, he was framed. He was framed because he was still a threat to the United States government because of the impact he had in that community. Creating and operating, not necessarily himself just creating, but operating through an elder council level. Kalonji was part of that. Dhoruba was part of that. Operating in this regard, I was approached, knowing that I was someone of high stature within the new Black Panther Party. I was approached with a hit list of infractions that the community sees. Now we talking about the community, the elder council, as well as reports that have came in from members of the community that the infractions that the NBPP are doing. And I was handed these lists of infractions, and I was basically told, you need to clean this shit up. No cookie cut, no light talking, flat out. You need to clean this shit up before we have to, before the people have to. So I literally had to hit the ground running in Atlanta and trying to address all of these infractions because they did go against the integrity of what it means just to be a Panther, period. Whether we talk about an old school Panther or new school Panther, it is an integrity issue. You're not supposed to be stealing money from the people, period, point blank, and a few other things that was going on. So from that standpoint, when we talk about going into somebody's home, mind you, again, in that Atlanta area, when we talk about the activism that was taking place, the new Black Panther Party was supposed to fall right in line with what they say they are about within a platform. And here you go, Jamil Al-Amin, we talking about elder Panthers, Dhoruba Bin Wahad, elder Panthers that are saying, hey, young bloods, hey, young Panthers, hey, this is how you supposed to be doing this. This is what y'all represent. Y'all can't continue to represent and do bullshit. So I went in cleaning that up. Again, I left Atlanta. So things go back down in the same spiral direction because I'm not there. And apparently a lot of the shit I wasn't able to completely clean it up to the point to where it was able to continue on without my presence. So unfortunately, because the organization at that time was still taking people in more about quantity than quality, shit seeps right back in. And so from that standpoint, in Atlanta, and again, what I said I tried to bring to the structure was an elder council mentality. The reason for that is to create and hold a level of integrity that the organization has to hold itself to. So right there in Atlanta, you had a situation to where all organizations that come through Atlanta need to be operating on this capacity. And I don't have fault with that. So when I left and things fall by the wayside again, now you basically have the same elder council who's saying, hey, NBPP, y'all not doing what these other black organizations are doing in Atlanta. Y'all bullshitting. What are y'all doing nationally? I'm also hearing other things that's going on nationally. So they were basically inquiring about what are y'all gonna do. These are elder Panthers inquiring about what's gonna be done to clean this structure up. And obviously the proper protocol would be to go to the leadership of the NBPP and say, hey, clean this shit up. But when the leadership chooses not to sit down and listen, not to take accountability and responsibility for some of the actions that are going on, and then throw up the concept of local autonomy when it is in their favor to do it. Because mind you, some of the issues I've dealt with within the formation had to do with local autonomy also. Local autonomy basically means that that chapter has the ability and should be accountable for how it runs within its own city, outside of what the national says. But at the same time, there's a national 10-point platform, national Black Power manual, national code of ethics that should be followed. So when an outside influence, we say outside influence, again, we're talking Dhoruba, we talking Jamil Alameen, we talking about heavy hitter Panthers, and they wasn't the only ones that was in question, that was putting this stuff in question. You had people that was even elders that was even within the ranks that was bringing things into question. Brother Yanga's father, who was up there in Cleveland, Ohio, tried to join the formation, come from the third development, and was trying to join the new Black Panther Party from the same standpoint of making sure the integrity and the standards stay intact. So,
Chairman Kahar.
Chairman Kahar, thank you. But the thing about it is, not enough was being done. So Dhoruba, again, feeling responsible for some of the fact that he had to do with the inception of this organization. Aaron Michaels left the organization and things went astray. He just wanted shit to get clarified, cleaned up, and addressed. If I refuse to sit down with elders, then when you finally do come to my city, after I've tried reaching out to you multiple times and getting this addressed, and you're not getting anybody to address it, that's how it got to the point to where, we want to talk now. Because it's been multiple occasions to where he attempted to try to do this work, have these discussions, have these sit downs, and he has been ignored. So that I just wanted everybody to understand why he was hot and why the elder council in the community went in the way they went in to try to break up that summit based on where it was. Because at that point in time, the organization, at least from the standpoint of, I just say to give it the benefit of the doubt, I just say the percentage of levels of disrespect throughout the community, the percentage of things that were not right, reached beyond a bullshit threshold of what the elders felt like it should be. And so by not having that opportunity that they questioned multiple times to get, they was hot. You're gonna come into the city and it's not the first time, and you never address us. So when you say that they kind of like, hey, acting like it's a gang thing and this is my city, again, you have to look at how the West End in Atlanta, the parts of Atlanta that the Black Panther Party, the third development of the Panther Party, and the organizations that the original members spearheaded and established after the Black Panther Party were operating, and the success that they were having, because they had success. So the success that they were having. So there's a level of integrity. If I'm a Panther, always a Panther, whether I want to don a beret or not. That's how Dhoruba considers himself. That's how Jamil Alameen considers himself. Again, he's in jail right to this day, right to this day. because of his work as a Panther, not even operating under the banner of a Panther, but doing the damn work. So when we talk about, and this is for everybody, when we talk about, hell, what does it mean to be a Panther? What kind of work should a Panther be doing? Go check out what was being done. Go check out what got him put in prison. Go check out why he remained on the radar. And you will find it was some powerful things being done through an elder council. So from that standpoint, these are the kind of things that I believe, and I'm just going to put it on myself, that should be incorporated. This is how you keep a system or a formation or a structure calibrated to where there's not a lot of bullshit happening. And that's what was attempting to be addressed. When it never got addressed, yeah, at that point, I'm hot. At that point, I'm coming in and I'm disrupting your shit. I'm not justifying it, but I'm letting y'all know that this is why there was such a level, considered a level of disrespect by avoiding cleaning up the formation, avoiding doing what should have been done as an elder Panther talking to a younger Panther. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
I got you. And if I may respond, I 100% agree with everything that you're talking about. We should have elders to come in, and if we're not doing something right, it needs to be addressed by the elders. We have the tribunal process where it can be also addressed by the elders. The only point that I am trying to make in this whole argument is Elder Dhoruba could have chose another venue, and he could have chose another time. I'm just going to give you a scenario. If you're sitting in the house with your family and you guys are celebrating or whatever it is that you're doing, and one of your comrades walks into your house because he's upset with you, just opens your door, walks into your house, and tell you right now, motherfucker, as a man, what are you going to do? Are you going to sit there and let this man curse you out in your house? No, you're not. Your first action is going to be to defend your house. You're going to physically pick this man up and remove him from your house. And so I think this is kind of what took place, man. We're dealing with, at that time, we were dealing with a lot of Panthers who didn't even know, they didn't do their studies. They didn't even know who Comrade Dhoruba was. Only thing they saw was a man to come into their house, come into their territory, and start cursing at them. And we have to understand that people respond in different ways. That's why I say we wish the incident had never happened, and I apologize for it, even though at the time I was not even part of the organization, because I had took the Dallas chapter, which I was now chairman of. We had went independent. So we were not under the leadership of Malik Zulu Shabazz or Hashim Nzinga. We were just straight Dallas New Black Panther Party members. So that's how I learned of what happened. But I can't say, I mean, even if we're at a meeting, you know, we used to meet at the Martin Luther King Center. We had a comrade come into Martin Luther King Center. I don't know if you remember, what was his name? They called him the Supreme Captain at one time. Brother Hakeem. Oh, Brother yeah. Hakeem. Yeah, so he wasn't part of the new Black Panther Party independent chapter that we had established in Dallas. He came to our meeting and basically tried to disrupt it. And brother, he was about to get his ass beat. When you're dealing with militant-minded people, the first thing that's going to come to mind is the militancy. All the ideological shit comes in second. But when you present yourself as a threat, that's how people respond in society. That's just my 2 cents on it. But again, man, we wish Brother Dhoruba well. We wish it had never happened. But it did. And the only thing we can do from this point is to move forward as a people and hope in some aspect that, you know, we're forgiven for those misdeeds of the past.
Well, let me say this, throw this out there, and then I'll let someone else jump in.
Okay.
Are you willing, if it can be set up, are you willing to have a open discussion that is aired to the community with the Dhoruba, so that he can bring you up to speed on some of the things he would like to see, or concerns that he has about the way the formation is operated. And it's not even just the NBP at this point, because mind you, back then, from that time we've talked that this happened up until now, there has been many splinters that are broken off of the NBPP. In fact, back then, I don't even think, back then you didn't even have two quote unquote national chapters of the NBPP, one out of Crystal, one out of Malik now. So, but the deal is, as a result of a lot of the things going downhill, I would go as far as to say some of the things that he would be presenting just have to do with the new generation of Panthers, period. Hey, if you're going to continue on this legacy, these are some of the things that I think y'all should take account to as quote unquote people who say that they're about being a revolutionary. Would you be willing to have that open dialogue with him if it can be arranged?
Of course. Any information or any history or anything that we can receive from the elders that will help us grow as a people, then hell yeah, I'm willing to sit down and suck up as much knowledge as I can. What you will understand about me is I am a very humble person, and I'm part of what I want to do progressive things for the organization, and I want to do progressive things for the people. And if part of that is healing, I'm really not into the healing, but if part of that is healing, then let's sit down at the table and let's dialogue about it. But for me, man, I didn't come into the organization ideologically sound, as a lot of these new comrades don't. I came into the organization straight as a head buster and a militant. All I wanted to do was fight. I didn't know who some of the revolutionaries were before me. I didn't know about the Gaspar Yangas. I didn't know about the Granny Nannies. I didn't know about the Thomas and Caras. I didn't know about all of these historical people until I joined the party. So, yeah, man, I'd be more than willing to sit down with Brother Dhoruba and any other member of the what you call the third formation. Is that what you said?
Third development basically just means a third iteration of Black Panther.
Right. The original party. I would be willing to sit down and suck up as much knowledge as I can. Anything that's going to advance our cause here in America.
And some of the brother just said, it goes back into the elements that we have talked about for over 2 decades, going on 3 decades actually. But it's the being ideologically sound, it's the knowledge, it's the information. We always said that, and we used to have, and I think it's been removed, but in the Dallas chapter back in the day, I remember we had what was called a Panther professional warrior ethic. And one of the things that was said in that warrior ethic was that essentially, I can't remember the quote directly, but one of the things that we said was that the knowledge itself was necessary, because if you didn't have the knowledge and you just had the might, the fight, then you was essentially just a thug. What separated you from being just a thug to becoming a warrior was the knowledge and the understanding of what the cause was about. Huey P. Newton from the average dude in the streets. Huey loved to fight, but Huey also had a foundation on the proper ideology to fight for. So that's what becomes important for all of our members, all of the members of Revolutionary Brothers and Sisters, and especially any new members. Okay, I want to ask this, because we talked about all the different formations, and I have to ask this. Is the Black Panther Party even still necessary? I'm talking about any variation of it, new Black Panther Party or whatever. Is the Panther still important to the Black community?
I would say yes. The people still need an example. The people need example, and they need leaders who are going to be on their side for social change and social justice. There's going to be some organization that is going to take the forefront, whether that be Black Lives Matter or any other organization. So if that is going to be the case, we would rather see the Black Panther Party or the new Black Panther Party, any organization with sound ideology be the leader or at the forefront of waking our people up or bringing our people into some type of consciousness. So somebody is going to take the lead in the liberation movement. So I would just say, why not it be the sound ideology of the Black Panther Party? What we can say that the ideology of the original party, it still carries weight. The 10-point program, it still carries weight today. But there has to be an evolution of those programs, because the same struggle that existed in 1966 through 1972 is not the same struggles that we face today. Back then, our comrades were having dogs sicked on them. They were being lynched at a much higher rate. Police terrorism was a lot more extreme than it is today, even though it still happens. In today's society, our people and our youth are more responsive to being gamers. They have liberties that our people back then would never even thought possible. So there has to be an evolution of the 10-point program. There has to be an evolution of the ideology of the Panther Party, because we're not in the 60s anymore. So that's why we think the new Black Panther Party is a strong organization to be part of that evolutionary process. Because not only do we have the teachings of the Black Panther Party, we've got the teachings of RAM, we've got the teachings of BLA, we've got the teachings of Robert Williams. We've got the teachings of all of these ancestors. We've got the teachings of Dr. Khalid Muhammad. And what we do is we put them all together, and we use the best out of all of these organizations, out of all of these peoples. We combine the ideologies to make the best new Black Panther Party that we can today. That's my thought process. Yeah, I think we are still needed, the Black Panthers as a whole.
And I think you're correct on many things that you just said. But I think one of the things that we have to learn how to look at is that the Panther has to make some level of transformation to appeal to this contemporary, quote unquote, Black man today. We have like you just said, they're more responsive to gaming, the internet, the social media things. So the Panther has to in some way have and this is even the Brother War who is in the head of a chapter. It has to make some level of transformation. I want to say this, and then I'm sure Brother War probably speak on it, or Brother War correct me if I say any of this wrong. And I'm not going to continue to harp on the Dhoruba thing, because I think that the brother answered it, and I think that he's shown and expressed a desire for the new Black Panther Party to make some form of, even though as the brother just said, and he has more of the spirit of a warrior than a healer, but he's willing to make steps toward mending that fracture that happened between Dhoruba and the new Black Panther Party. But I think that one of the reasons why Dhoruba was so emotional or intent about being heard is because during the founding of the new Black Panther Party, when Aaron and David and all of that back in the day, one of the few quote unquote original Panthers that was there to be a guide, a counsel, and that was always essentially there and stood by Aaron and David and the brothers in the beginning, even when people like Bobby Wooden was Dhoruba. Am I correct, Brother Wall? So
Yes, you are.
He see himself, and even publicly, many of the members of the original party who, as Brother E like to call it, Huey and the boys, many of the members of the original party who disagreed with the starting of the new Black Panther Party, Dhoruba still stuck to his guns and assisted in the building and the organizing of the new Black Panther Party. So when he saw it going astray, he felt personally responsible for it, and he knew how he would look to many of his members that was original Panthers or elder Panthers who knew that he participated and played a part in the structuring of the organization. Also, he was a member that played a part in the structuring and many of the work, as we understand what that means, of the BLA, the Black Liberation Army. He participated in many of those things. So I think the brother failed a certain type of way because of that from a foundational level. And I also understand that, I don't like to take both sides of any argument, and I'm going to let you go in a minute, E. But I do understand what the brother was saying about brothers coming into your house, things of that nature. But I think one of the things that Brother Wall was saying is that Atlanta was his house. And so the brothers that came to his house without what's the word I'm looking for? Without giving
proper consultation.
Without giving that courtesy call, the brothers that came to his house. And I see the 70-year-old Panther or elder as being, even when he's getting too rambunctious, as being given a pass. One of the things that I remember, and I remember a lot of the things that Brother David used to say back in the day. Brother David wasn't a writer. Basically, essentially, us three was the writers when it came to writing down, principles of how the party was going to be ran. Brother David was more like the old uncle who would just give you some words of advice. But one of the things that David used to always say is that we do not allow harm to come to a panther. We do not allow harm to come to a panther, and panthers do not harm panthers. He never said, because some things you just don't say, that there was only one response to somebody who decided to put their hands on a panther. I don't know if y'all remember that from back in the day.
Period. Yeah.
It's only one response. Only one. Somebody that put their hands on a panther, and the only way that harm could come to a panther is that if a panther had did something, as what we called back then crimes against the people. If a panther did something that put him in a position where he was no longer a panther. If you committed crimes against the people, then you no longer had your panther status. Then anything could happen to you because you no longer had your panther status. But I just wanted to add that to it. And if you brothers had something that you wanted to add, go ahead.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, and I think that the brothers' analogy, and you pretty much redirected it, because my understanding is Malik is coming out of DC. He's coming out of somewhere other than the Atlanta area, whereas that's where Dhoruba was his house. So Malik was coming into his house, ignored multiple attempts to have a sit down and have a conversation, and then showed up to attempt to press the issue. And in my head, any response to particularly an elder of his caliber that's disrupting it, any response is better than beating the hell out of him. Me personally, I don't see it. I know for a fact it wouldn't have gotten to that level amongst any of us, but if it had gotten to the point where he was there yelling and attempting to assert the issue at that point in time, if anything, we'd have stopped, packed up shop, and gone a different direction. Had a conversation, left the scenario, whatever it was. It was uncalled for. It was wrong, period. I don't care what the man said. These were words. And I think that it's a miscategorization to say that because we were dealing with militants. Militancy is not the same as undisciplined, unbridled. I knew cats like DK, and yes, he studied under war, but DK was not disciplined. DK was not the warrior soldier that we may in hindsight want to prop him up as in that point of time. So the reality of it is you had a bunch of young cats who were undisciplined and angry from the streets because the process hadn't been gone through. There really wasn't a process to develop that and mesh it out. And whether or not they knew who Dhoruba was, Malik knew who Dhoruba was. And he's the one that said, get him out, knowing exactly what those words would entail, what those words would inspire. He knew what was going to happen. And he ordered it, enabled it, allowed it, did not punish anybody. So in my head, this elder, if I was Dhoruba at this point, I'm not talking to National. Y'all burned your bridge. Don't come back. And yeah, there's a gang aspect to it because we're talking about street shit. Ultimately, the party came out the streets. So it's going to carry a certain amount of street ethics and protocols along with it. And it's some things you do, some things you don't do. Like you said, you don't go up into somebody's house, unannounced, uninvited, ignore the people that live there, set up to have a conference, and then get pissed at the owner of the house for telling you, we need to have a conversation right now. That's not your place, especially if that person who's coming into the house is your grandfather. This is not some nigga off the street. This is your grandfather. This is the dude who put it down. So for me, shutting up and saying, you got it, brother, and walking away from this situation is the minimum amount of respect that should have been given to this brother. And so that's why I say, if I was in his position right now with my attitude, I wouldn't deal with it anymore. I would not have a conversation, and I'm hoping he does. Be a bigger man than me. I'm guessing he probably is, given everything that he's gone through. But the reality of it is, we can't put any of this back on him. We have to be accountable for what we did, regardless of what he said, what the timing was, whatever it was. We did that. We put our hands on him. How many members of the party from that night ended up with stitches and broken bones? I'm guessing probably not a lot. I mean, it just makes no sense. I couldn't see allowing anybody that's around me to beat up an old man. It's an old man. Take away all the Panther stuff and everything he's done. This is an older man. You got to be a big ass coward to jump on an old man. So, yeah, and let's just be real about it. I don't care for Malik at all. None of the things he's done, none of the things he said. I haven't seen anything tangible that the National has done except block information from the masses of the membership, run around the country, thumping each other's chest, patting each other on the back, at times hustling the people for money. I'm just going to say it, hustling the people for money. And so to attempt at any level to defend anything that this cat has done, period, is just, I can't understand it. Matter of fact, that's my question. What has Malik done to earn the respect? I'm new coming into the party. What has Malik done to earn my respect? Because we talk about local autonomy. You understand? The Dallas chapter has never worked under Malik. We've never fallen in line under Malik, ever. Tried to have conversations, it didn't work. So we've never, after we left, I guess some of them cats went with him or whatever. But those of us who were around for the initial parts of it and whatnot have never gone along with it. So if I'm coming in and I'm looking around to National and we have local autonomy, why is it, matter of fact, what's your position on local autonomy? If Malik comes in and says, you got to go get them, where's the protocol? Who takes orders from who? How does that flow down?
My position is local autonomy is the foundation of the organization. It starts at the local autonomy area and it goes up, because national don't mean shit if you don't have a region and you don't have local troops or local soldiers. I'm still using military terminology. I apologize, but everything starts at the local. The local is the foundation of all of the principles that your community is seeing. National is not coming into your city and feeding the people. National is not coming into your city and doing the work, the groundwork. All of that comes from the local autonomy. And I just want to throw this in, man, and I don't want to be the devil's advocate here.
Do it.
But okay, well, say do it, huh? Have people, motherfuckers gonna be going off on me on YouTube. But
you chose this position.
I don't give a shit about that. But here's the thing: when I came into the party in 2003. Brother E, you were there at the time. I think you were on your. I think you were on your. Where you was on your point in time where you were getting tired of the bullshit, so you were getting ready to leave the party. I actually remember being at a meeting where you and Brother DK went head to head, and I was like, God damn. But anyway, that's neither here or there. Brother War, I don't know if you remember when I came into the party in 2003, we were given an assignment by Nationals. And that assignment was for the Dallas chapter to go to Houston and remove Cornell X from chairman and to instate Sister Crystal Muhammad. So we took a whole chapter to Houston to remove this man physically if need be. I remember Cornell said he was going to show up with 100 soldiers and he was going to resist that change in the party. But we took orders from the National. Dallas took orders from the National to go and make that change of leadership in Houston. So there were times that the Dallas chapter, and I'm just saying that to say there were times that the Dallas chapter did support the request of the Nationals.
Oh yeah, definitely. That's why I say I tried to clarify it a little bit when we were there, when we were a part of it, and we mean Syke, myself, and Brother War. That was the case. Once I left, that's
Brother War was there. Brother War was there.
I was regional, so yeah.
You went to Houston with us.
Yeah, with a request like that, the whole point would be that we're not dealing necessarily with the local autonomy of Dallas. We're dealing with someone who was in essence supposed to be in a national position, but also a local position, and not doing the work they were supposed to be doing. And so we're still talking about an integrity thing. So yeah, I'm with that from that standpoint.
Yeah, I'm just saying that we went off the request or the orders of the National Chain Command at that time. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, and let me say
which was Malik Zulu Shabazz.
Let me say this though, keep in mind that it's not a blind request. The request aligned with the principles that we agreed to anyway. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I want the listening audience to know. So it's not like because Malik said so. It had to do with the fact that, you know, we've been feeling a little funny kind of way about how things are being ran in Houston any goddamn way. So this just kind of aligned with what we saw to be best, and that had to do with a different leadership taking a position that was going to do a better job. And everybody that's in the formation should be willing to step back and allow better replacements to come into play. So that's my answer to that.
And at that point in time, had I got fired, I guess, from being chairman there. Had I been chairman of the Dallas chapter at that point in time and got that directive down, I'd have told Ward, go to hell. We not finna do it. That's local autonomy. So it's you can say something from national, regional, wherever. Doesn't mean I'm gonna follow it. You can request it, but this is my chapter. This is our chapter, our neighborhood, period. But my further back question is still, what has Malik done in the 80 years he's been the chairman of the national chapter or whatnot? What material things has he accomplished within the party that I should come into it and respect?
My answer to that would be, you don't see a lot of tangible things. We don't have a headquarters. We didn't have a lot of programs running at that time, but you did have individual local chapters who were doing, basic food programs and things of that nature. What I can say that Malik did and he was good at was bringing attention to issues, bringing those issues to national attention. So when, some people will call it grandstanding, some people will call it ambulance chasing. I don't know. But I know that when one of our people around this country was shot down like dogs by the state, that Malik would show up and he would rally and he would bring it to the attention of the masses of the people. Now, is that enough? I don't know. But that's one of the things that I would say he did a good job at, was bringing national attention when one of our Black men, women, or children were assassinated by the state.
Hey, and I guess a follow-up would be, what is your relationship with him now? I.e., what is his relationship with the party? Because I've heard you mention a couple of times, you said something that you ran it by Malik, something that you were deciding or discussing or whatnot. You ran it by Malik, discussed it with Malik, as if he's a consultant and still has some input into the party. Because I've seen this shit before. We're going to step away, but I'm going to stay entangled, and then I'm going to step back in later. And that sort of nonsense. So I'm wondering, is he gone? Is he gone? And I mean, from the mind, from all of this, is he gone?
Well, it's very doubtful that he's gone from the mind of the people. It's only been 3 months since we've had the change of leadership. So the people that I am leading today are mostly his people, with the exception of some of the people that followed me into the organization and some of our newer recruits. Malik and myself are friends. I understand that as a leader, you're going to take on certain roles that everybody is not going to agree with. And if I have a situation, I could call him for counsel, or I could call Brother War for counsel. Whoever I feel is knowledgeable about the subject matter that I want to deal with, I'll call them and I'll get their opinion and I will examine that. But at the end of the day, I make the decision. Nobody can tell me which direction that I need to go in. I'll just call you. I'll get the information. I'll study the information that you gave, and I'll continue to study until I come up with a conclusion that is going to better serve our people. As far as Malik being still in the minds of the people, I would say definitely, because Donald Trump is still in the minds of people, and he's no longer the president. He might be again, but I don't think Malik is going to ever reconnect himself with the party again. I think he is good with the history. I think he is good with his legacy, and I think he will help where he can, especially financially, because we all know Malik got that bread, and he don't mind. He don't mind helping, and I got to be honest with you. Sometimes we need those financial contributions, not only from Malik but from the general population, if we can get those, because we all know freedom is not free. But Malik is a friend, but he does not run the party.
So what financial programs do you have slated so that the party doesn't have to go to Big Pockets Malik for help?
Well, again, I'm going to say this is my third time, so I just want to keep reiterating. I'm only 90 days in. From the time that I took leadership, which was in October of 2023, nobody was paying dues, man. So we came in and we aired that shit out automatically. We broke out the manual where the manual physically showed, if you're going to be part of this organization, you're going to have to pay your dues. You have to be self-sustaining. So now we got the members mentally thinking, you know what? I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. If I really, truly believe in this shit, if I believe in this struggle, then I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. And, we have small outside contributors. And what we're trying to get the organization to is where we're self-sustained. If we have a member that has a legal battle we have the money in our war chest to help him out. We're going to have members that's going to go to jail. We're going to have members that's going to go to prison, because if you are in a revolutionary liberation struggle, some of this shit is going to happen. We're going to have members that are going to die and need assistance in burial. So we have to have money in our war chest. I hope I answered your question, bro.
Quick question, just for listening audience. How much is membership dues? Just want to throw that out there. People that's considering joining would have an idea.
That's usually in-house information, but I mean, everybody has the manual. It's the same as it was when you was in the organization. Membership dues, I'm about to put it out there, brother. Membership dues is $25 per month. But this is what we did. We felt like $25 a month was a little too expensive for a lot of people. So we lowered the membership dues to $10 a month. That way it ain't no excuses. So we would rather have 100 people to pay $10 than to have 10 people pay $25. So we're making it where you're in the organization and it's affordable. And the third part of that is, or the second part is, we are accountable for every dollar that our members send in. Since every month, since I've been here, we've given a national report of the finances that we take in. So we're being accountable and responsible with the people's money. So right now, if you want to rejoin, your membership dues would be $10.
When did it change to $10? Is that a national thing you saying, or
yeah,
that's a local autonomy? When did that change?
No, it changed to $10 under my leadership. And after I came in and I understood that people were not paying dues, and I started talking to the comrades, and they was like, "Man, $25, that's a little much." And I started looking at other organizations and how much their dues are, and I started doing a comparison. And I said, so let me come up with something that is fair and something that is also financially sound. So we got 100 people pay $10 a month. That's $1,000 a month. Not a lot of money, but it's better than what we had when I started the organization, which was we didn't have shit. So that's where we were.
I would say this real quick. One of the things I definitely want to make sure it gets put out, kind of like what you're saying with the change, just some of the resistance you deal with the change in leadership. With all of the scrutiny that the Panther 48 has been projecting in regards to how things went astray, going back to what we was even saying with Dhoruba in Atlanta, it just goes back to what we call the errors of faulty logic, the lack of wisdom, the lack of ethics, and the lack of integrity that we saw across the board. We're not saying, or let me say this, I'm not saying that as a whole, this is what the organization represents. But what I'm saying, because there always has been good members. There's always have been a few people that no matter what, they've held that motherfucking line and they've done a damn good job. Okay? So they've represented. But a lot of times, more often than not, the integrity of the ones that I'm talking about that have held that line is because they themselves were principled people before they became Panthers. And they maintained that, and they helped raise that standard. I can go back to the West Coast, East Coast. I apologize, the East Coast. One of the brothers I always felt like that was Devon Allah.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because this is just what was bred in them. And so therefore, as a Panther, they did not expect to have to lower their standards when now I'm a part of something that's supposed to be a revolutionary organization. These are principles that I just operated on my own as a righteous African that not only believed, but exercised and lived and practiced the fact that we have to be on the incline in order to be moving forward as a people. So I joined a quote unquote revolutionary organization. Why the hell would I lower my standards? So from that standpoint, I just wanted to be out there to the masses of people that are watching, that are interested in being part of the new Black Panther Party or in a Panther formation from this standpoint. we cannot, as Panthers, lower or let our standards continually degrade and devolve. The whole point is, and this is kind of what we're hitting at with you, Omowale, is that there was a certain level of what we call bullshit threshold that you saw that you needed to come back in and you needed to calibrate and bring things into order. That's all of the Panther 48 is attempting to do, as well as making sure the population and Panthers, or people that want to be Panthers, know that things were not always this way, and things don't have to continue to be this way. Things don't have to continue to devolve. There are certain principles, certain ethics, and certain operations that, as a Panther, as somebody that represents a quote-unquote vanguard, or want to raise the consciousness of the people, must do. There must be what we call a functional Panther. And as a functional Panther, there are certain things that I am accountable for. And if I'm going to wear the banner, beret, whatever, operate as a Panther. And once those principles and those processes and those concepts are embedded in me, whether I ever don a beret or not, whether I ever put on a NBPP uniform or not, I am going to still live by these same principles. And you can't, nothing in my life would ever cause me to go backwards. Even if I part ways from the uniform wearing body of a Panther, I never part ways from these principles. And so our situation here is that we want to know that the same caliber and drive in terms of doing the right thing is embedded in a process of what it means to be a Panther, so that it's not just the ones who already had that mentality before they came in, but that mentality is being developed within the formation and the structure, and that be one of the foundational aspects of what it means to be a Panther. So kind of like going back to your hit list, I would say your hit list of things that you're working on as a national chairman, it has to do with bringing the integrity element back into the fold as a process of accountability in terms of what it means to be a Panther, and that this is something that's going to be taught and held up as a standard of operation in terms of a Panther. And when we have that embedded and calibrated and moving forward as a part of the process, then no matter what eyes are on me or off me, I know that I'm held at a high standard as a Panther. I know that I must operate a certain way, and by knowing that I must operate a certain way, if I choose not to work at that level, let me excuse myself from the formation instead of allowing the formation to take the heat for my failures as an individual, my failures as a person. And when it comes to people in any position of leadership, we have to hold ourselves responsible for the way the ship is being stirred. If our membership is not acting right, we have to hold ourselves accountable. If things are not going in the proper direction, so when even going back to the whole concept of elder council, I supposed to go to the ones that are steering the ship, the ones that are holding these positions of power, in order to see to it that the changes are made, that the things that I died and stood for as elders, because you got to look back on the battlefield and the war that the elders carried on. When that baton is passed over, because there was a war, mind you, remember, we all need to know this as Panthers. There was and still is a war being waged against Panthers, because what if the Panthers can get their shit together, we will be public enemy number one again of the internal structure of the United States, meaning we hold the power to be the greatest thing to taking down this imperialistic fascist structure base. Knowing that the Black Panther has that ability, has that potential, what we call core, kinetic operational resistance engagement concept, knowing that we have that embedded within our structure and that we hold each and every member accountable to that, then it matters not where you are and what uniform you got on as a Panther going into cell theory. We will always be able to keep things moving in a certain direction that raises the consciousness of the people. So these are the kind of things that we want to make sure get re-implemented within the structure, and as national officials, as leadership, this is what I should hold myself to, and this is what I help hold the other chapters to. So I just had to throw that out there.
And I want to add on to that. I would like to know what the recruiting process, does the national recruit? If so, when somebody joins, what is the coming in, the initiative, the initiation process for someone coming into national or the party, generally speaking, and what types of tools are available to enforce accountability when someone does slip. I know at one point, I think it was you, War, tried to make me be on the national committee or some shit. Was that you? Do you remember that? It was at the headquarters where I painted the mural and whatnot, and Psych wasn't there. I don't know if you remember that. But Psych wasn't there, so.
Oh yeah,
Psych,
yeah.
But yeah, and
Yeah, you correct.
So I know back during that time we had what was that letter called? Letter of discontent and things of that nature. Essentially, you do wrong, you get written up. That's essentially what it was. So we had the same type of structure developing that you might see in the job. But when War tried for a second time to draft me for some shit, I saw him coming and refused to do it. And that caused, for some reason that I still don't quite get, several members to get pissed off and get really, well, they already didn't like me, but to elevate that frustration to a level of anger. And the reason I wouldn't do it is, like War said, because of the level of that bullshit threshold. I didn't want to join the bullshit because I saw the bullshit and didn't want anything to do with it, simply because there was no coming in process. There was no financial, getting money, getting people to give you money, whether it's dues or donations, does not qualify as an economic program. And that's one of the things that we always had issue, is that national is requiring local organizations, local chapters to contribute money, but you're not contributing anything to our ability to create money. So there was this sort of a taxation without representation, sort of, in a way. So those are the things that in my mind, there has to be some emphasis, like you said, on the quality. I could do more with Warren Sykes, especially if we were in the same spot. If it was the three of us in Dallas right now, we'd get a lot more done, because we've been through the training, because we've internalized it, and because we hold ourselves first to a standard. And that standard bleeds out. Psych and I are constantly in competition with one another. But the competition we're in is to who can better develop our ideas, who can convince the other one, give the other one an argument, intelligent, logical, thought out argument to get them to sway their position. And we're constantly doing this, but it's understood that it's this healthy competition. So there's this constant sharpening of each other. And that's something also that has to be brought in, and especially in the coming in process of understanding that this is a constant process of evolution. You can't come in a nigga 10 years later still be a nigga. You have to have grown. Psych was a hothead when I first met him. He was coming out of it, but he was still a good hothead. But he grew from that and developed from that and evolved from that. And that's where we connected. So those types of things, War's talking about the accountability and holding ourselves to a standard and not letting that standard down for the sake of having people around. Me personally, I've never been a recruitment guy. I don't give a damn about getting people to come to the party. In my mind, you do the work, period. The work is not recruiting people. That's not part of the work. And that's part of the problem of the party, is that we have made recruiting people into the party. It's like a pyramid scheme. You recruit people into the party and that's your work. That's not the work. So seeing that example from folks who want to be leadership with the national, it has to be the example that's set down from national is doing that work. And having those things, and I get the 90 days and everything, but that has to be in place. If the national doesn't have its money together, whoever is making sure the national can get a bus to another state, they're calling the shots. They're going to decide where that bus stops to get gas, to go to the bathroom, to whatever. They're calling the shots. And so things like that have to be in place.
I 100% agree with you. And one of the things that we make sure of when we bring in new recruits, especially those recruits that are not connected to other chapters per se, they live in rural areas or there's no chapter in their area. We have orientation programs that happen at least once per month. We have political education programs that all of the membership takes advantage of at least once per month. So since we've been here, we have constantly been studying political education. Believe it or not, the Panther 48 is on our study list. So we're listening to some of the things that you guys dialogue about, but we have a vast study list where we keep the new members in tune with political education. We don't just bring in a member and say, okay, you're a Panther. So people have to understand what they're coming into, what type of shit they get involved with. What is this fight? What is the ideology behind that? So we don't just bring them in and just say, send in your dues. We're constantly educating our people, and hopefully that we're upgrading the standards of those people that we bring into the organization.
Well, along those lines, then I'm going to make an invite on WAR's behalf and even Sykes' behalf that the membership that you bring in as a part of the continuity and networking aspect that the Panther 48 seeks to develop and maintain is to have the membership, particularly the new recruits, to come in and be a part of some of the classes that particularly WAR has ongoing for his local membership, because a lot of what we pull is right in conjunction with and either builds on or leads to classes that he's doing. So being a part of that will help with the continuity of proper Panther ideology, with the mechanisms, with all of those things when there are questions, because I remember, and I know WAR has updated, I don't know which version of the party handbook you all have, but depending on which one it is, there are a lot of updates and things that need to be explained more in depth that can be addressed through going through some of these classes.
I want to
make that happen.
I want to use the Panther 48 as part of our ongoing training. But the thing is, Ward doesn't send me the link until 20 minutes before the show. So I don't have a, say if I knew you guys did it at 7:00 on a Thursday, I would make sure that my guys and my sisters tune in to get that information. But
okay,
right
so
now, I never know when the show is going to happen.
Okay, so then just to cut to the chase and cut all of that out, let's just say that you are willing to have your membership come through those classes and whatnot. All the details will work out. Maybe instead of 20 minutes, you get 45 minutes before, whatever, you know what I'm saying, before it happens. But in order to maintain a certain level of integrity and a certain level of understanding of what it is cats are living and hopefully living and potentially dying for, sending them through, particularly, and I'm saying wars, it's not just war, but wars, because he's already doing the classes, have them come through that part of be that more or less your teaching mechanism or a key component within your teaching mechanism.
We can make that happen. All we need is some type of schedule.
Well, Ward, he usually does political education classes on Thursday. His 7, which is our 9:00. So it's basically our 9:00. And what we're going to do is task Ward with making sure that he shoot those out to you earlier. And if you follow Ward on Facebook, he likes to drop it on Facebook as well. And I think that your membership could get a lot of knowledge, especially if it ain't all of them, especially if it's key members that you feel like could be extremely important in developing the ideology of the party. They participate in it, and then you have the other members. Because what we do is we edit and drop it on the Panther 48 YouTube channel later. War might do the class, and I got a class now that we're gonna drop, but we had a few other things that we had to drop. But we have a class that's about a month old, so the old classes end up dropping maybe a month after he's given them on the channel for people to utilize as a resource tool. And you can usually find them in the Panther 48 playlist called Political Education Class. And there's a lot of classes that we've done that we put in that folder on economics, on many different other things. But I think that could be powerful and important. And cause we want to see you be successful. We want to see the new Black Panther Party be successful. We want to see that success on every level. Just to say this, we created the Panther 48. Now you ain't getting to talk no more, War. We created the Panther 48 for the exact cause. The Panther 48 is not an organization. It can't recruit people. We can't take in membership. The Panther 48 is essentially everything we used to talk bad about it almost 30 years ago, and that's a think tank. The Panther 48 is for the purpose of developing. Look at Eve making that frown on his face. We used to talk about armchair revolution, but theory without action is wishful thinking. Action without theory is just mindless wondering. But when you make, Huey P. Newton essentially said that, but when you make theory and action, then you have revolution. And that's what we kind of saw missing. We saw the theory missing. So we, as you just said, brother, I think Brother Babu said it toward the beginning of the conversation. But what we have done is we've started taking theory and ideas and concepts from many of the lates and many of the greats and bringing those ideas and those concepts together and dropping them on YouTube videos on our channel. And that's what the purpose is for. And not just for Panthers, but for any revolutionary community activist-minded people, period. And that's why one of the first things that we started doing, just like our video that we have with you, and during the inception of the channel, you were one of the first brothers that we interviewed, but we started interviewing different people from different levels of the struggle. We didn't interview everybody from Aaron Michaels to Dhoruba Bin Wahad. We didn't interview everybody from you to Brother David Foreman. So we didn't interview a lot of people to get various ideas and concepts from different people and what they're doing, where their movement is going, and things of that nature. And I think that I can say that we're going to bring you back because we asked you a lot of questions about where the new Black Panther Party is going. We'll probably end up bringing you back again after a few months because you got 90 days in now. But I can see sometime in October, founding of the original Black Panther Party, Black August, or somewhere around those times where we bring you back and see what kind of growth we've had. But with that, Brother Babu Omowale, we thank you for coming on the show. We thank you for being candid with us and having this dialogue with us. I'm gonna let Brother War say what he was about to say before I shut it down. Just like Brother War did, we asked you to just simply make subscribing to the channel mandatory for your membership. It's a very revolutionary act to subscribe to the Panther 48 channel. And with that, I'm gonna pass it back to Brother War. Y'all subscribe to the channel. If you got any good information from this, like the video and share the video. Brother War, you're gonna take us out.
All right, the last thing I just want to hit on, and this, Babu, and this is for folks that made your membership, or even people that's just looking at this sideways, to step back and see things from a non-emotional standpoint. What we require, and one of the things, and we learned this from David Foreman, one of the things we must always remember is that nobody is beyond critical analysis. Critical analysis just basically goes into the fact that everything needs to be questioned, and it's being questioned from the standpoint of making it better. It's always about, and then you got one of your comrades named Magnetic who always say the word refinement. It goes into refinement, and I call it calibration. Goes into refinement, calibration, and again the overall ethics and continuity of the Panther. So the Panther 48 from that stance is we're just real open with our critical analysis, and all we ask is that people that want to don the position of being a Panther always realize that you are under the microscope and that critical analysis must come into approach at all given times. You can never be too big to be approached, never be too big to be wrong, never be too big to be corrected. And so critical analysis is all that we ask, because that means that you have not crystallized yourself to the point to where you don't see that growth is a part of your lifelong process as a Panther. So by saying that, I'm saying no Panther knows everything there is to be known. I'm constantly learning new things as a Panther, even in a position of teaching Panthers. That is the journey of life. Critical analysis, is a must for a Panther. So we have to step back from our egos and allow ourselves to be scrutinized in terms of what we say we represent. And that's my closing.
And with that, Brother Babu, and I said I was going to let Brother War close, but I forgot to ask you this. Do you have an email address or any way that people trying to join the formation can get in contact with you? You can state it on the video, and if you will, you can send it to Brother War, and when I edit the video and post it, I'll put it in the comment section.
Yeah, people can reach us at NBPP, the numeral 4 defense at gmail.com. New Black Panther Party 4 defense at gmail.com. Very simple. NBPP 4 defense at gmail.com. So for those who would like to reach out as far as membership, or if they have questions about any community issues or anything like that, that's how you can contact us.
And with that, this was your Panther 48 with special guest Babu Omowale, National Chairman of the New Black Panther Party. Peace and power.